the lordship, but with written understanding that he would not try to expand his territory into the Shim's forest.
Right. So I think as we go into Shaymore, then I would suggest to the rest of the party that we swing by the tavern before going into the mayor's office. See if we can pick up a odd job to take care of on the way to the next town.
It's a few days travel from Crestmore to Shaymore,
Right.
but I'm putting you at the gate. As far
Yep.
as where you guys go now is on you or up to you.
Right. Yep. Guys, what do you think about once we're inside of this town, Shaymore, looking at swinging by the tavern to see about getting any tasks that could be accomplished on the way out to Chalem, that other place.
Whatever.
I don't see a problem with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, if we can find
I'm
any.
up for it.
All right.
Kill
Usually,
two birds with one stone, so to speak.
Right.
Usually, if there is a tavern, it's right on the main road. They're not hard to find.
Okay. In that case, Tony, I believe we are headed into the tavern on the main road into the Shaymore.
Yep.
And once inside, we'd be looking for the bartender, or would there be like a bounties board or something that we could check?
You can look for a bounty board. Sometimes they have them.
Okay. I'll swing up to the bar and check with the bartender and get a beer. Dane, you wanna?
You would.
See, hush, hush, Zyra. I want my beer. And Dane, would you want to take a look around and see if there's a bounties board anywhere nearby?
I can do that.
So you are going into a tavern called the Angel's Respite.
Okay.
The interior of this tavern is, much like others, except when you go in, you see that instead of a large like fireplace up against the wall, this one is more Norse in its building, in that it has a fire pit in the center of it.
Okay.
Oh, like in
And-
Skyrim.
There are benches and seats around it, and tables to either side of the walls. And at the very end, there is what looks like a potbelly stove behind the bar.
So Sparta kicked someone into the fire. Got it.
Right. There is a set of stairs along the opposite wall of the bar that seems to go up to a second floor.
Okay.
And there are two barmaids that seem to be serving tables. There is a bartender, and he looks super rough. Like, he is big, he is muscled, he is scarred. But he is, laughing and joking and smiling with some of the patrons at the bar. So he looks rough, but he's not scouring. He seems to have one eye permanently closed, his right eye. But he's shaking hands and serving drinks and,
Okay. Is this a human, or would I be looking at an?
He's a
it
human.
is a human. Okay. I would approach the bar, take a stool, and hold two fingers in the air, let him know that I'm looking for a drink.
Okay. He walks up to you and he says, 2 fingers. Is that 2 drinks or 1 drink?
That'd be a double.
A double of what?
I'll take scotch.
He looks at a buddy of his who laughs, and he looks at the other buddy of his who laughs, and he turns around and he pours you a double.
Okay.
Having not said anything, there's no ice in it.
Alright. And
Also,
You
this was
forgot-
tavern in the medieval times.
You
so
forgot
ice
to
is
say
hard
on the
come-
rocks.
ice would be hard to come by. I'll sip on that, and I'll ask him if he's heard of any anything that needs to be done in the area.
He looks you up and
We're,
down and says, "Sellsword, huh?"
More of a stealth spell, but the rest of my party is very well versed in the arts. If there's any tasks that need to be completed, we're passing through on our way down to Chelum.
No. Well. How are you at building roads?
That we do not do not partake in. Do you know of any rogues or bandits on the road or anything? Some
around here.
kobolds maybe that need to be killed.
Not around here. Too well policed. I mean, Shaymore is pretty much the center of everything. You got Wallermore to the north. You got Challen to the southeast. Shim's Forest right below us. You got... I can't read that. To the east. Or to the west.
That place. Okay.
Somethingville or ALLA.
Alright.
Can't read your own map.
It's blurry.
Maybe you should have wrote better.
It's blurry, not the writing, asshole.
Should have taken a better picture.
Austin, would you like me to list off the stuff that you fucked up on in your life? Remember, I've known you since you're 2.5.
Oh, trust me, I know I've done fucked up a lot of things, and you told me not to fuck them up, so this is my payback.
Alright. Well, in that case, I'll say thank you, and I'll keep sipping on my scotch. If you want to jump over to Dane, see if he's found anything.
Most of the stuff that's written on the board is work. Places that need helpers
Build a road.
in town.
Okay.
It's basically there is a board there for work, but it's like, this place needs a seamstress, this place needs a woodcutter, this place needs that kind of.
Yeah, kind of like Craigslist, the old style.
It's the personals ad.
Yeah, it's the personals.
So no work for adventurers in this town.
That's what it seems like.
I already hate this town.
I'm gonna go gather up the party and say we should just head up to the keep and talk to the people here.
Alright, that sounds like a plan. I'll shoot back the rest of the scotch and follow the party up to the keep then.
Hey, you gonna pay for that?
Out of curiosity,
Oh, yeah.
what time of day is it?
I'll drop a gold on the counter and follow the rest of the party.
All right. What time of day is it? I'm gonna say probably mid-morning.
Jesus, it's not even noontime yet and you're already drinking?
1092 is for hire for some designated not making sure he doesn't drink kind of guy.
Water is poisonous this time of year, or this time of era.
Uh-huh. Alcohol's your best bet. It's already gotten rid of all of the nastiness.
We need to start an intervention.
Not quite true, but anyway.
Ricallo says that anyways.
The keep, not that hard to find. There is basically a cobblestone walkway that goes from gate to keep. It's pretty far, but it's not that hard to get to. And the cobblestone road, not walkway, but road, is probably 2 horse carts wide. There is an outer wall with a gate and an inner wall with a gate, and then the keep itself is up a small flight of stairs. Built on a platform. The first gate is wide open. Going through that, you basically are in, like, you're not in, you're outside. You're between 2 walls, and there are stone steps that go halfway up the wall, and you see crossbowmen standing there looking out slits. The inner gate is closed, guarded by crossbowmen, spearmen, and swordsmen.
They don't seem too hospitable.
They do not.
You walk up to that gate. It's oh shoot, help me out. Portcullis.
Heimlich or CPR?
Neither.
Okay.
There's a portcullis, and then there's about 20 feet of wall that you're in, and then another portcullis on the other side. Both of them are closed. And when you get there, the 2 swordsmen step forward, hands on their swords. The spearmen lower their spears, and the crossbowmen aim their crossbows at your faces. One of the swordsmen says, "State your business. We don't just let anybody in here, and we don't know any of you."
I would step forward and say we are on a mission from the king, sent to speak with some of the local rulers to get a public opinion of a private matter.
You just gave a lot of information about a little nothing, huh?
I were here to find out what your lords and ladies here think about either Challam or Cressmore getting the lordship. That's all we're here for. Diplomatic mission for the...
It's a lot of muscle for diplomat.
Dangerous roads, sometimes.
Wait here. He goes over and he pulls on a, one of those servant ropes. And the
There you are.
inner portcullis opens about halfway. And another 2 swordsmen come through. The spearmen do not let you come anywhere closer, but the 2 swordsmen that confronted you go back to the gate, and they have a conversation. And then the 2 swordsmen that were inside walk away, and they drop the inner portcullis. And the swordsmen come back up to you. They have not taken their hands off their swords through any of this. You'll have to wait until we receive word from the lordship.
That's fun.
A good 10 minutes goes by. None of the soldiers have moved. In fact, the longer you're there, the more the tension kind of rises. And off of the half wall come two more on either side, so total of four more crossbowmen. They haven't got their crossbows pointed at you, but they are there.
Are we that menacing?
All right. So
Sorry.
this is so obnoxious. Dane puts his hands up, turns to the party, and says, basically tells everyone to back up about 20 feet.
As you do that, the two swordsmen come back through.
Oh.
And the guard gives, they have another small conversation. The one that was talking to you gives a nod. And both portcullises go up, as do the spearsmen's spears.
Oh, okay, so I didn't have to do what I was going to do.
At which point, the guard that was already talking to you comes up to you, says, "These gentlemen will take you in. Do not deviate from the path. Do not leave their, well, side."
All right. I would address the inherent leader of the guard, highest ranking member.
He's the one that's been talking to you.
All right. I would like.
I'm sorry, he has a red cape with a gold brooch, as the other ones don't. I should have said that.
I would, before passing through, I would present my insignia of my military rank.
Yep.
And just give them a nod and explain that I feel that their security is definitely of the highest caliber and definitely and damn respectable.
He nods approvingly, but doesn't say anything. When you go in, you have the two soldiers that came up, and then as you get closer to, you get up to up the stairs, and there's two big doors, probably 10 feet tall, and one small door. The little door opens, and very elderly, thin-looking man, wiry. No hair, no facial hair. Little tiny spectacles on his, way too big for his face nose. Comes out and looks you over. And he nods. And he says, "They can come in." He goes in and he closes the little door, and the big doors open. When they open, two more soldiers come out and come behind you. And the four of them escort you through kind of an anteroom, and then two more, probably 7-foot doors are opened into a larger, it looks a lot like the tavern you were in, because it's got that big fire pit in the middle, but it's much bigger. And at the end of it, there's sort of a dais where a gentleman and a lady sit on thrones. They both look the same. They're just wooden thrones. They're obviously thrones. They're either covered in gold leaf or painted gold. You can't tell. But they're dressed in fineries, and they're talking to each other. The looks on their faces are casual. You're brought up to the fire pit, which is in the middle of the room. And then the old man comes up, coughs a couple of times, and then he tries to yell out. It doesn't really come out as a yell. Let me get to it here. There you go. He says, Lord Jin and Lady Lavernica, I present. Who are you? At which point, the two, the Lord and Lady, kind of chuckle. And the lady says, normally you find out their names before you present them.
I
But
would
that's all right.
I would take a step forward, drop to a knee, and present myself as Dane Frostbeard of the First Steinhelm Brigade, formerly of the First Steinhelm Brigade, representative of the King on a diplomatic mission.
Lord Jin leans forward with interest and says, Rise. I mean no disrespect, but did the Steinhelms really drink out of their own helmets?
Aye, when that was the only thing available.
I'd heard that. Thought it was a rumor. Anyway, you may approach.
Well, if you think about how large the head of a dwarf is, think of how much more ale you can drink from your helmet than you can a normal stein.
The lady chuckles and says, don't give him any ideas.
And I speak up and say, I think you just gave Ricalo ideas.
It doesn't work that way. I'm a wizard. I don't have a friggin' helmet.
Hello.
Well, I'll tell you, if you saw General Firebeard's helm, the man had to have two horns on it just so he could hold it proper.
I am Lord Jin, and this is my wife, Lady Lavernica of Shaemore. You already know that, but I'm told I have to say it.
Pleased to make your acquaintance.
You are here on behalf of the king, or are you here on behalf of my brother?
The King Thesis has asked us to come down and give our opinion or a report on who we feel would be the best suited to receive the lordship. As obviously you would be aware, Cressmore is technically due, but also Chalon has presented that they were next in line. So it's the king needs to keep the peace in times of these nature, and we are here to help him make the right decision. We did speak with your brother. We have been to Wallermore, and we will be going to Chalon next. We just wanted to kind of get a feel for what everyone thought was best in this area.
Very wise. Very wise. I haven't really thought about it, I might tell you. It's not really something that, I mean, although it of course does affect us and that it affects my family, and I love my family very, very much, although they are quite different from myself. Um, I like the sun, for one. My sister and her wife and my brother tend to stay indoors on the nicest of days. And, well, my best friend is alive.
Yeah.
I don't hold that against him. My brother is the nicest of people. As a matter of fact, he treats his people better than, well, I hate to say it, better than I do, or better than I treat mine. In that my taxes go to my military and not, I don't know, a storm fund, which doesn't happen much around here. At any rate,
The biggest concern we have is Wallermore has stated that they want Cressmore to be an equal to receive the lordship, and they don't want Chalon to receive it. We will be returning to Wallermore once more to report again. We still need to gather information from Chalon, and we would like to come back and discuss what we found there with you as well. Basically, we just want to know how solidly you feel about either Cressmore or Chalon receiving the lordship.
I'm afraid I'm on the fence about it. I mean, I don't hold with my brother's hobby, although I know it is harmless. At the same time, Chalum's mayor or leader, or whatever you call him, is rather pompous and quite in love with himself. But he's also harmless. Um, he treats his people well, not as well as my brother, but he treats his people well, and is an older city. I mean, if I were to follow my heart, as my sisters and my lovely wife keep reminding me to, then I would of course go with my brother. Family first, you understand. Practically, Crestmore is a bigger trade center. Though Chalum does get a lot of trade from the um, southern areas, Fullbill, Them, and the one I can't read under Shim's Forest.
Blurryville.
Yeah, E blur 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 AR. If I get my magnifying glass, it's out in the kitchen. I could probably read it off of the regular map, but it's out in the kitchen. At any rate, so Chalum does have quite a bit of traffic. Excuse me, quite a bit of traffic, in that it is greatly less than a mile away from the crossroads. But there's no King's Road south of Them. I'm confounded as to why both cities couldn't be given lordship. Considering it would take nothing, money-wise, for the king to build 2 keeps and a road. Certainly the king has the coffers. Nothing against our king. I won't say I'm fond of the man, but I won't say I dislike him either. I guess you could say I'm on the fence about a lot of things.
It's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, but the lordships are handed out on a timeline, a schedule, as you will.
They are, yes. Yes. In the past, more than one has been given at a time. Certainly Wallermore and Shaymore were given lordship simultaneously. But that was many, many years ago and through a different king.
All right. Now, I understand that when you're dealing with politics, entertainment of rumors can be very dangerous and risky business. But would you humor me on a rumor I've encountered in regards to this whole matter?
Oh, of course. I've asked you about a rumor that I once heard, so.
All right.
Please, free.
So again, keep in mind a rumor. We have no basis of fact to support this theory, but it has been brought to our attention that there is a risk of Chalum increasing its territories into the Feywild should they receive a lordship. Is that something that you believe is possible, or something that the leader of Chalum would want to do?
Into Shim's Forest.
Into Shim's Forest. Oh, you mean increasing his territory?
Aye.
Enlarging his city?
Despite the fact that the Fey in Shim's Forest would not be too happy with that.
Oh, no. They would defend their land with great fierceness. Oh, wow. I had not considered that. I do have a lot of dealings with Chalum. I'm closer to Chalum than I am with my sisters up in Wallermore. And Chalum is closer than Crestmore, so I do most of my dealings with Chalum.
Hey, I would guess someone that is close as you are. Any rumors that you've caught that might weigh in on the theory?
As I said, I haven't been dealing much with this whole lordship. Of course, I knew it was a question, but
Well, being that you know him so well, what would your opinion be? Do you think that there's a possibility that he may?
Lom is a pompous man. Lom is also he can sometimes be greedy, but he can also sometimes be generous. The odd part about Lom is he could just as well give away some of his territory as easily as he could expand. I'm not sure even he knows. Between you and me, and this is not a rumor, but not many people touch on the subject. Lom leaves most of his decision making to his advisors.
All right. Now, a very difficult question for you. If you were to be the one solely responsible for choosing who gets the lordship, if you chose Cressmore, why would you choose it? And if you chose Chalum, why would you choose it? And if you had any concerns about what these two cities would do with the lordship, how would you address them personally?
If I were to choose, I would choose Crestmore, but not for the reasons that anyone is thinking. Not because it is ruled by my brother. I would choose it because of the fact of the matter that it is the only southern city that is a port city. It receives much trade. Foot traffic there, I wouldn't say it's more than Chalum, but it does rival. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Given a road, given a lordship, I think Crestmore could grow to be a very important city. I would give it to Crestmore.
All right. And
Chalum, the reason I would not give it to Chalum is because of Lon's unpredictability. And because, as I say, I'm not 100% sure Lom is the one who rules over his city.
all right.
He gives far too much power to his advisors. He has a small council, a military advisor, a money man, a civil service manager. I mean, he leaves everything up to, I don't know what you'd call them. Well, a council member who gets a lot of money and lives in a big house.
All right. Now, if you did choose to give the lordship to Chalum, why would you choose to do so? And what precautions would you set in place conditional upon receiving the lordship, given the information you know about?
If I were to give it to Chalum, it is because it is also a heavy trade center. Inland trading, uh, I may say so, but it is a well-traveled place. It already has a King's Road to it. It is older, probably more well-known, but I would caution against the amount of power he gives to his council. I would caution that he should have the absolute final say. He says he does, but I can guarantee you that there are some decisions that he waved his hands at and said, "You do it." I think he feels himself above certain things, like, you know, where to put the waste and so on and so forth.
The waste?
what to do with trash, how many people to put on the fire brigades. These are things he feels are beyond him.
All right. But he likes having a small council and advisors.
He does.
Would he be opposed to having an additional advisor if he received lordship, as he might need it?
It depends on what sort of advisor you're talking about.
An advisor that would serve as his right hand.
He claims to have one.
All right.
There's a man
Maybe
named Miles.
perhaps an advisor that would be a representative of the kingdom directly to make sure that Chalam's decisions are in line with the king's decisions.
If you could find one, but you'd be hard pressed to allow him to have a royal appointee challenge his every decision and/or non-decision.
Well, let's say
I don't
that
argue with you. I think it's a great idea. It's just getting him to agree to it.
more
Like I
challenging
say, he
his
may give you the shirt
counsel
off his back, but he may also take yours in tax. I don't know.
All right. What I'm saying is perhaps an appointed or a royal court advisor to challenge his advisors in matters that would maybe be questionable of what the king would want.
Oh, somebody that would not directly work with him, but directly work with the council.
And basically be somebody who could challenge the council to make the right decisions, and make them feel like they're under a little bit of a watchful eye.
I think that would be a lovely idea, but once again, you'll have to get him to care.
All right.
Fair enough.
I'll be honest with you. The man is no imbecile. If you could get him to care enough to have somebody watch his counsel a little bit more closely, you might get him to care enough to do it himself.
All
He
right.
has the brains for it. I mean, like I say, he's not in charge of the town because just because of heritage. He's in charge because he is a smart man. The place has become a place of commerce not simply because of its location, but because he has made it that way. It's just he's made, from what I understand, he's made enough decisions and simply doesn't want to be present to make the trivial ones, as he calls them. And sometimes he might be advised that some decisions that are not trivial are trivial, and he may believe them. If you ask me, I think his little council should be abolished directly. Take away the big houses and the money that comes with it and put regular people in there. That way, greed wouldn't be the motive. But who's going to take up the mantle of being an advisor for an important piece of the town without wanting something in return?
Aye, absolute power can corrupt, absolutely.
Yes, no, Lom is not corrupted. I think he's just tired.
Hey, I'm more concerned about councilmen that are given that much power.
I think the council is. Between you and me, I do think the council is corrupt.
I would say that as a condition for getting lordship, maybe suggest having his council get replenished once every other year.
Like an election.
Similar
Term limits.
Give Lom the choice as to who he selects, but make sure that they get replaced every other year so that they don't just sit about and gather their wealth and take advantage.
I see. So appointees with term limits. That's a good idea. Of course, again, convincing me isn't what you have to do.
Correct.
It's convincing Lom. You'd also have to get him alone.
Right.
council
I
comes
would-
to-
I would say we're more just presenting ideas as you know him better than we do to see if you think these would be good ideas or not. Not that we're trying to convince you, but just trying to see
What you
what your
think of.
thoughts are.
If you can get him alone, and you can get him off of the "this is trivial," which I think presenting yourself as a advisor to the king on the question of lordship, he won't think so trivial.
All right.
You
What
just have
kind
to
of
get him
leisurely
alone. Get him
activities does he
alone and
enjoy?
convince him to care after the fact.
What does he what does he do for leisurely activities?
Uh, to be honest, I'm not sure. He is a well-read man. He reads a lot. He has quite the library in his palace. He also dabbles in map making, cartography. He loves to make maps, um, and wildlife. He is big on wildlife. Oddly enough, he feels that some species, as he calls them, um, might be in danger of disappearing off the face of the planet. And he said
Interesting.
he's going to work to stop that, although I don't know how. Try to get a man to stop hunting a deer for food. But anyway,
All right. That gives me some ideas. Thank you.
yes, he is quite concerned about wildlife. I honestly have no idea why. I mean,
That's rude.
every time I go hunting, there's plenty of deer, and we kill only what we need. They still breed. They still breed. At any rate, I hope I've helped. And
Yes, you certainly have.
his wife has been listening intently to all of this. And she says, "It is not my place to interrupt, nor is it my place to give any advice.
By all
But
means, the more information we have, the better we can act.
in my personal opinion, Dirk's personality notwithstanding, Crestmore is a port city. There are islands and other continents out there. There are places where people come, dragonborn, tieflings. They don't reside on the continent. They reside elsewhere. They trade with Crestmore, as well as the Dragon Island itself does most of its trading with Crestmore. Those wonderful people who apparently worship dragons. I don't know anything about them, but they're lovely people and they have exquisite fruit. Beyond that, I think, Crestmore is more deserving. Not simply because of its story and its relationship to Wallermore and Shaymore, but simply because of where it lies and what it does. And I believe this with all of my heart. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get so animated. Yeah, and her husband is kind of taking her hand and just not saying anything, somewhat nervously. Shit, my wife might be getting pissed off. But she is visibly, um, um, how do you put this? Not angered, concerned. She's impassioned about what she's saying. To the point where her hands and voice are shaking as she talks. You could interpret this as nervousness, except for the fact that she's a lady and is probably used to public speaking. Or you could interpret this as passionate about her thoughts on the matter. she quickly regains her composure with a sip of something out of a silver goblet that's on a table between the two thrones, and goes back to, just kind of sitting there interestedly listening.
I would incline toward the lady. And, milady, you did not speak out of turn, and your knowledge and information is received, respected, and appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, she says. And Lord Jian stands up and says, "Is there anything else we can do for you?"
Is there any tasks that you would need completed? We may be able to take care of something before or after visiting with Callum.
Not that I can think of. If you're looking for work that would be adventurous, I would say when you're done with this whole endeavor, travel to Them.
Oh, is there something going on with them?
There's a rumor that there's a problem that the people of Them are having. Them and Fullbill.
Okay.
I'm not really sure what it is, but I've just heard that there's on and off trouble.
Interesting. Thank you. That certainly helps.
I'm glad to have helped. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a few internal problems that I need to take care of.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you for your time. Should we be escorted out, or are we free to leave on our own admission?
You're free to leave at your own admission. I do apologize, but there have been some threats against Shaymore by we don't know who. But as far as we know, it's been taken care of. But my garrison, my guard, my captain of the guard, is taking no chances.
Very smart indeed.
That sounds like something we might be able to help with. Do you happen to know any other information, or
those who have given the threats are currently sitting in the dungeon, hence why I have an internal problem to deal with. The problem has been taken care of. We were under threat because somebody else wanted to establish a town.
would this happen to have been a town established by goblins?
Oh, no. Humans. Humans of questionable taste, I will say that much. But as I say, it's been dealt with. They are currently residing in my dungeon, including their leader, who has admitted to being the one who wrote the threats. And,
All right. Would this have been some type of a shanty town they were building?
yes.
Did it happen to appear to pop up overnight?
Yes. Between Crestmore and Shaymore.
I-
a few months
similar-
ago.
a
They've
similar-
been in my dungeon for about 6 weeks.
A similar shantytown was populated and built by goblins outside of the kingdom, and humans were behind that as well. Would we perhaps be allowed to sit in on the interrogation? They may be connected, and the king would want to know.
I think you rather should. Do come with me.
Things just got interesting.
Bum bum bum.
He takes you through the courtroom. He takes you outside the palace, because the only way to get into the palace proper is from another door. This one is hidden. And he, of course, asks you to be on your best behavior about this. It's part of the rock building, but it's like a magic hidden door. That will get you into the palace proper. The room where he receives visitors is a facade. It is part of the interior of the palace, but there's no way in or out except for the big front doors. He takes you outside and along a beautiful garden path. I mean, it's like a rose garden. It's gorgeous. And then he takes you over to this fountain, and he bids you turn away because he doesn't want you to see what he does. Does everybody oblige?
Of course.
Yes.
Okay. He manipulates something, you don't know what, and then he says, go ahead and turn, and you see the door opening. And then he takes you into a gilded hallway, paintings and stuff like that. And this hallway goes to a set of double doors, normal size. He opens that, and then you're in a... what do you call it? Like a lobby, I guess is the best way to call it.
Their dungeon has a lobby?
No, their castle has a lobby.
Oh.
He's taking you basically how he would go to get to the dungeon so that he doesn't have to go through the jails, is how he explains it. There is a jailhouse outside the castle walls that lead to the dungeon. But inside the castle proper, there is a secret passage that also goes down to the dungeon so that he or somebody within the castle can go to it without leaving the castle grounds. He is trusting you with a lot of secrets here. But the conversation that you've been having kind of leads him to trust you. In that you're A, working for the king, and B, doing a lot of other good things. So he brings you through, just one hallway and then turn and then another hallway and then turn. You almost kind of lose your way. Until he comes to...
Hey, I gotta step away for a few minutes.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
That's fine.
He comes to an iron door that leads down a dark stone stairway. He has a wall thing that he picks up, kind of leads you down. And then there's another stone door that opens, and it's an anteroom. It's about, I want to say 50 by 50 as far as feet, square room, probably a 10-foot tall ceiling, and you're looking at about 15 armed guards in this anteroom. Obviously, because it's between a dungeon and a hallway directly to the palace interior. So it's well guarded. And then he goes through to the other side of the room, through another stone door, and into the dungeon area. It looks like when you go through the stone door that you're going through the staircase that would lead you up to the jail outside the palace. So it looks like the king has come right down through the palace along with you guys, when in actuality you've gone through several secret doors. The dungeon looks like a dungeon. There is a table in the middle with several chairs, and around the outside of it, with the exception of the doorway you came through, is cages. Each cage is like a 6x6 cube of stone with a barred front. And the bars are both horizontal and vertical. With a little door, with a little, gate door that's locked. And there's probably 12 of them. And there's somebody in all of them, all 12 of them. They are wearing kind of cloth pants with a cloth t-shirt. They're not like tattered and ripped and torn. These people don't look, ill cared for. But they also don't look like, they could do anything. Inside their cell, they are shackled to the wall, but with the ability to move around some. They can get halfway between the back wall and the bars. There's plenty of give. They have a bed, which they can get to on the back wall, even with their shackles. And there is a it's not a table. It's like a carved into the wall. There was a space for a tray, and each one of them has a wooden meal tray sitting there and a chamber pot in the corner. And the centermost cell of the semicircle of cells, the king waves you guys over to what he says is the leader of the group that was creating the shantytown and sending threats to Shaymore to stay away. What are you guys going to do?
Are they going to do an interrogation, or is the Lord looking to us to talk with him?
I think since you guys had information, what he will do is, since I hadn't thought of that, my mind was on something else for a few minutes. On your way down through the secret passages,
Yep.
I'll say that what he explained was, since you guys seem to have run into something similar before, he's going to leave it temporarily up to you guys.
Okay.
For now, he might do his own thing later, but
so I guess we would approach, and I would I would see if do we recognize like any of these? I believe one of the people from that group that we had encountered at the beginning of the campaign, I think one of them got away, didn't they? So do we recognize any of these people?
No. This is what seems to be a completely new group.
Okay.
What you're looking at is the one that you've been pointed to is a very dark-skinned looking male. He, like I said, they don't look uncared for, but they don't exactly look happy. They're in a jail, so there's that. But With him is a mixture. You have you have one cell that has a halfling female in it. There's a tiefling in there. You have a half orc. The tiefling is female. The half orc is male. Several humans, and then this guy. He's well built. Not not covered in muscles, but he's well built. And just human.
Okay. I'd say we'd approach the one that we were pointed to, the assumed leader.
I suggest to the party that Dane do most of it because he's more gruff and soldier-like, and have
Yes, but Dane
1092
had to
stand behind him.
Dane had to step away.
Right.
So what I'm going to say is that Dane is currently quietly having a discussion with the king,
Well, that makes sense.
and
Yep.
he kind of just sort of gestures you guys forward.
Okay.
I'll be with you in a second, kind of deal.
Okay. Then I guess I would approach and ask the presumed leader if he has any explanation for what they were doing in the area. Get a basis lined up for them.
He looks at you. He's looking at the ground right now, sitting on his bed. He looks up at you, kind of eyes only, lifting his head just a little bit. And his eyes are dark brown, and he's, they all seem to have, even the females, seem to have had their hair removed. So they're all, if not bald, they've been in there for 6 weeks. So they've got some hair. It's just not long. But he kind of looks up at you, and he says, apparently, it's illegal to create a township without the king's permission.
It is. In order to establish a town, you need to check with the owners of the land before you start building.
Do you know how hard it is to get an audience with the king?
It's
If you have your
easier-
own town, then you make your own rules. We don't like the rules of the towns we live in. We'd like new rules. So we wanted to make our own.
And did this involve hiring goblins
To hell for.
to build your shanty town for you?
Look at me. Do I look like I can't lift a hammer? Move a tree? Thatch a roof? Look at us all. Ain't one of us weaklings. Not even my little friend over there. Boy, she could climb a ladder faster than any of you. I'd put money on it. We were sitting in a tavern. We were talking about our problems, and that we had all become friends. And it was suggested to us by a passerby that we make our own town. We thought it a good idea.
And you
Passerby?
Yes, a passerby. A woman, not too much older than myself. She said, if you have that much trouble with the towns you're in, make your own. We said, well, hell, why not? Then we started getting trouble for these hoity-toity posh people here in the moors. That'll be Wallermore, Crestmore, and Shaymore. So we
All right.
thought we'd tell them to stay off our backs.
No, it seems like you are trying to build on someone else's land, a township, and
We're
claim
days
your own
away from
territory.
both of them. They're saying something about a lordship and roads, and we'd be in the way.
Well, I mean, if you're building a town, and the next thing you know, the king's coming through putting a road down, and it's going to tear apart the town you just built, isn't that a waste of resources?
It's a waste of resources if we don't already put a road through the middle of the town. You know, you make your own path through the middle of the town, and their road can connect to it on either side. But we're here because apparently it's illegal to try and build a town without the king's permission. Apparently he owns every bit of land, even ones what he can't see from his balcony. Do you know how far away we are from the king? What would it matter if we put a town in here? Besides, the lady that told us to build a town said this would be the perfect spot.
And this lady that you spoke with, did you happen to get her name?
No, she was just a passerby. Said there's absolutely no reason why there can't be a town between Crestmore and Shaymore. Or
So
between
this-
Crestmore and Chalum, for that matter. Or between Crestmore and Them, we could put another city on the coast.
So this passerby pointed out a specific plot of land, gave you this idea of where to build, and then disappeared, and you never asked her name, but you took her advice anyway?
Well, like I said, she was just a passerby. She pointed out a good plot of land. What's wrong with that? It's in the middle of the fields,
All right.
well
Who
patrolled, safe.
funded the materials needed to build the town?
Oh, we went and got that ourselves.
And it's well patrolled because it's owned by other towns. That's why you're having the issue.
The land
If it
isn't.
wasn't-
The land isn't owned by other towns. It's owned by the king. So to speak.
If it wasn't well patrolled, you would have been able to build the land there. The reason that it's well patrolled is also the reason why you got in trouble for building land.
I don't know all the proper procedures. All I know is that it took someone to establish these towns all over the world. Why couldn't we do our own? Besides, the lady was correct. It's the perfect spot. Perfect. Perfect.
So
You can get anywhere from there. Wallermore, Crestmore, Shaymore, Chalum. You
So?
get to Them. You can get to Polbill, Funwall, anywhere.
if you want to build, go through the proper channels.
Well, as I said, that's not easy.
It's not easy, but which is easier, going through the proper channels to speak with someone about building, or sitting in a dungeon in
The
a
half
t-shirt?
orc says, the half orc pipes up just out of the blue and says, well, then we wouldn't get the bonus. Oh, shut up, Jog.
I'm sorry, jog, is it? What bonus would that be?
Chog. And the bonus the lady said she'd give us.
The lady whom you only spoke with briefly, is it? So, what bonus would this be for? What did she say that she would give you this bonus for?
The
Chog,
bigger guy has now stood up and come to the end of his chains.
the half orc guy.
No, the big guy that you talked to beginning with.
Okay.
He comes up and he says, Chog, keep your mouth shut. That was between her and us. Had nothing to do with anybody. She
Excuse
told
me,
us,
but
and she just looks at you and says, look. She told us that she knew of some people that would move in if we built a small town. Other people like us. Who just want to go by our own rules. Rules that we put in place. We're not
That
going
does-
to let people kill and thieve and all of that. We just don't want to be so uptight as half these other towns.
So at this point, this is when Dane would whisper to the Lord that this is the problem that the king had just outside the kingdom, and this is the war that's going on that some people don't know about.
Oh, okay. He looks at you and he says, and he gestures you to go back into the stairway going up. That would lead. I told these guys that when you came out of all the secret passageways, you came out in the same sort of staircase walkway that would lead you up out of the castle to the jail.
Okay.
So it looks like you're coming through in from the jail, when in actuality you're coming in from the castle.
Right.
He brings you back into that sort of dark walkway, and he said, "Look, everyone with the lordship has been told rumors about some war going on, and that we should stay out of it. Are you saying it's come to me?"
Well, the people funding these projects are the ones that are causing the problems for the king. I would say that whoever this passerby is that's offering a bonus of some sort, they're behind
Settlers.
it. And the people that would be moving into that town would be doing things illegal that these folks did not want happening in the town they were trying to build.
I see.
If
So
you,
these people here were being manipulated.
yes, they were being manipulated much the same way as the goblins were that built the town that was outside of the capital.
I didn't know about that.
It was a secondary group that was actually responsible. The goblins outside the capital may have built their shantytown, but it was a pretense for a secondary group to make their advance, which I believe is much the same as this situation, where these folks were manipulated to build a shantytown so that
Shantytown could have been turned into a military fort against the Moors.
precisely.
Damn. Well, that changes everything. Militarily.
Would it be all right if we had a discussion with
Militarily,
these?
Crestmore needs this lordship.
All right, but would it be advantageous for us to tell these fools what they almost did?
Perhaps. With this new information, I'm sending them to the capital.
All right.
I have a teleportation circle in my castle. They can get sent to a special place. I'll send word. I can send word quickly. I have a castle mage.
All right, but should we tell them what's going on now, or should they find out once they get there? I mean, that's your call.
Do as you wish. They're gonna find out anyway. But do you understand what I'm saying? If somebody is trying to build a military fort within the Moors, Crestmore is going to need military help. They don't even have a wall. If they get this lordship, they get a keep, they get a wall, they get roads. Chalum already has a wall. Chalum has roads. Chalum is well defended. If somebody goes against the Moors, Crestmore will be the first to fall. And it's a coastal town. That cuts off trade, that cuts off supplies, and is an inlet very easily for soldiers.
Damn, that does change things.
Well, I know the king said that this war was one that was slow moving.
Damn.
It is. Or I hope it is. Rumors. I only get rumors, as you know. We're not supposed to know whether these things are true or not, but like I said, I have a castle mage who keeps me up to date on rumors.
Would it be possible for us to be sent to the capital through your teleportation circle.
And my teleportation circle sends them to a special place in the capital. I can send word to send them through, and then you. That way, you're not arrested on the spot. Otherwise, you would be. It specifically sends people to a place where they get taken. If I may, without spoiling it too much, most places that have king's castles in them have one of these rooms. That way, anybody who is accused of, oh shoot, the word escapes me, treason, are sent directly. So you would be going to where people mostly catch treasoneers. But I'll send word. This is a problem. This is a big problem. They're going against the Moors.
They're
That
going
would be
against
the
the entire kingdom.
They're going against the kingdom, but the first thing I would do is go against the Moors. If you're not going to attack the capital directly, the next most important place is the Moors. I mean, unless you count Poison or Rothel, but they're not big enough, and Poison is full of scoundrels anyway.
Well, the first thing that we noticed is that the goblins were actually given a mission to kidnap the king directly. That's why they built up a town outside the castle.
How long ago was this?
It
would have been months ago because of all the traveling.
Aye. And the other issue is that Santwan is almost all of their livestock has been stolen. We don't know if it's part of this new war effort or if it's just a band of vagabonds and thieves.
Santwan is near the capital. Was there anything about Poison or Rothel?
Rothel was taken by an illness propagated by a wizard, an elf, that was backed by a necromancer.
Oh boy. So it looks like they're going against the capital and they're going against the Moors. Why both? I mean, you could divide the continent, taking the Moors, at least not the continent, but the east. You could divide the east by taking the Moors and working your way down or up. But there's a reason that Rule is so far away from any other town. It's not easy to take the capital without the capital knowing. Strategically speaking, the best thing to do, at least from the ocean standpoint, is to take the Moors. But that's only if you're coming from the east. If they're coming from the west, the best thing to do is to come from the desert outside of the king's territory and go straight for Conchatum or Gadornum. Free orc country out and get them to help you. But they're attacking the east mostly, you say?
Well, that's our experience. We've only been...
You've only been on the east, I see.
Aye.
Have there been any open battles? Any? Is this just small towns being erected in opposition of the king, or has there been any fights, any battles, any sign that actual war is upon us?
There was a battle outside of Wallermore.
How far outside? He says with his eyes closed.
It was after we took the boat from Levesque to Wallermore.
On this side of the river.
Aye.
Closes his eyes again and
Why is it not working?
says, that says it. They failed to build up near the capital where nobody could see them. And now they're doing the more strategic thing and coming after the Moors. That's the only reason why they would fight this far south. Who would be? I don't know. You mentioned a necromancer.
Aye, that was all tied into what was going on at Rothel.
Then Rothel could be a completely separate thing. Still,
That's what I would think.
if they're using the same strategy as they tried to do up north, and there was a battle up north of Wallermore, then I can only think that they're actually coming after the Moors. They can't get into Oscar. The dwarves are too stubborn.
Dane's beaming with pride.
He says, I mean that with the greatest of compliments. I wish I was as stubborn as dwarves.
Uh-oh.
Aye, it'll get the job done.
Someone broke something made of glass. I just heard it.
Nope, I threw an R key down on some candy.
Oh,
Or not an R key, an Allen wrench. I had an Allen wrench in my hand, and I was in character as the king. So instead of just putting it down, I thoughtfully and frustratedly that I'm not as... I was in character, so leave me alone.
it sounded like a light bulb broke or something.
Well, the candy is on change, like quarters, nickels, dimes.
Why?
So I threw an Allen wrench onto candy that is on change. Anyway, I was in character. My character was frustrated, so I threw the thing. Leave me alone for RPing.
Well, fine. Just flips the desk.
So yeah, he is obviously convinced that the fact that months ago somebody tried to make a town between Poison and Rule, that failed. So now not only did they try to make a town in the moors, but also there was a battle in the moors. He is convinced that whoever is doing this is about to make an open attack on the moors. Whether that's true or not, you don't know, but he is convinced that even if it's a slow attack, they're coming after the Moors.
Okay. At this point, I'm going to step over to the guys that are in the cells.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. I understand that you're upset that your attempts at building a town were thwarted based on the laws of the land. But despite the fact that you don't want to be living in uptight towns and be able to set your own laws and your own rules, would you be happy to find the entire continent, this entire land, wrecked in war?
He looks at you and he says, our intention was simply to build our own new home.
All right. But what would you do if you found out the new home that you had built was the staging grounds for a war against the king and the lands around you? That it was done in a way that you had no clue and you didn't have the foresight to see what they were doing. But you were responsible for building the first foothold in a war against the rest of the lands.
He looks at you and his arms down by his sides. His fists, he clenches his fists and he looks at you with resolve behind his eyes. With, utter seriousness. And he says, I would join the king's army and burn it down myself.
Oh, but what if it was too late at that point?
Then I would present myself in front of the king as a reluctant treasoner.
Unfortunately, that's about to happen to you. That's where you're headed next. So whatever information you have about the lady that is supposed to give you a bonus, ask you to build the town, the one you claim you know nothing about, now is the time to start giving up the answers. Now is time to get the story right and speak through. The king has access to a lot of things, something you've probably heard of, a zone of truth. If you don't want to speak the truth, you'll be forced to.
That's what I'm saying. I have spoken the truth. We don't know who she is. She was a passerby. I have a map. Well, I don't now, but anyone who can read carries a map of the land. Just to say you have it. It's the only thing I've got that's not common. I had it out and we were looking over it. Looking for a place to go, you know? She pointed, she said this would be the perfect place. We didn't think we needed permission. Towns are built every day.
And she followed up that she would give you a large sum of money
No,
in
not
order
money.
to build.
She said she knew people just like us and she would get word out.
But you were supposed to receive a bonus.
That's the bonus. Settlers. Settlers. People to settle the town and begin to work the land. To grow our own food. That was the bonus.
Aye. And what
You think
happens
the
if
12 of us could do it by ourselves? We'd need people. She said
Right.
she knew people.
what happens when you're expecting farmers and what you get is a bunch of outlaws?
At this point, I would step away.
He says,
see
at
if
that
I
point,
can
as
get
soon as they
work.
started coming towards the town, I would find a way out.
Right, but you just
Going
built the
I'd step
town that
away
they
and see
need.
if I can get Chog to speak up.
Or I'd burn it down on my way out. If I saw them coming, I would burn it on my way out. The 12 of us would probably be living in one building until they showed up anyway. Maybe 2. I don't know if we'd want to live with him. And points over at where the half-orc cell is. It's a bit smelly. Love him to death like a brother, but let's just say I don't walk upwind. Or downwind. I'm saying we were tricked. I'm also saying I don't think you should have to ask to build a town in the middle of nowhere on land that nobody's using. That I'll defend to my death. But I didn't know nothing about no lady and no war.
Well,
Either way, we're dead men anyway.
Hey,
did
doesn't mean
this
you're
lady?
necessarily. It doesn't mean you're necessarily going to die, but you will be questioned, and the more information you can provide to them, the better chances you have of survival. Perhaps you could even
more
plead to the
information
king
than
that
what
you.
I've given you.
Perhaps you could even plead to the king directly. Say, I'm looking to build a town. Please give us the permissions we need. Help us do this the right way. We've learned from our mistakes. He's a reasonable man.
It's a reasonable request, but think about it. The 12 of us bring up a town. Whoever that lady is going to send her dudes.
Not if
Because
it's
it's
not
the 12 of us who are building that town. I'd have to have not only King's permission, but I'd have to have King's protection.
Well, if you chose a place that wasn't a strategic location for running a war or setting up a post for the military, I think you'd be all right.
I suppose. I mean, right now there's nothing going on really up north. We could build by the river and have water.
Maybe
Somewhere
you'll
south of
be in the. You're going to be sent to the capital. It's possible that you could just find a place anywhere. It doesn't have to be near here.
Well, like I said, I mean, you're not allowed to build anything north of Poison. But there's that lovely river underneath Sandwon. We could build there.
Okay, so go put it in. Why are you going downstairs?
Anyway, they're going to send us to the king no matter what. If I had any more information for you at this point, I'd give it to you because I'm either going to be pardoned or executed. And I don't think, looking at us, we're pardoning material.
I would see if we can if we can talk to Chog or whatever his name was, that had about there being a bone. I would see if we can talk with him.
The half orc.
If
You were so
there's
right.
any other information that
I
he
know,
would
I
be
know.
regarding this woman was willing to give us information.
It's obvious that he doesn't know anything more.
Okay.
The group is dried out as far as what they can give you.
Okay.
right.
In that case,
I'm Brian Patrick Flynn, designer of the HD.
good.
I would pull the Lord aside and have a conversation with him specifically. Tony, I'll type something up in Discord.
Yep.
While he's typing, would we want to move out of the dungeon, like back upstairs, or do you want to wait?
That depends on if everybody's done.
I'm all good.
That was Grondius.
Yeah, that was
1092,
Grondius.
You want to...
1092 hasn't been talking this whole time. I haven't heard much from Zyra, but I figure that's just because they don't do this sort of thing.
I don't really have much to say.
Me either.
Let me.
Hey, buddy, would you want to grab me a soda?
Yeah, what kind?
Just soda. Thank you.
Maybe a large one?
Yeah, sure.
So I'm going to say that since everybody seems to be done with their questioning, that we're going to go ahead and bring you guys back up into the castle. And you're brought up through the special area there and into the castle proper. And then you're brought into another room, which has multiple entrances. And it's a teleportation circle room. There's plenty of guards there. And there is a middle-aged man and a middle-aged woman. The middle-aged man is, kind of standing a little bit behind the middle-aged woman. She greets you and the Lord Jin.
Tony, I presented directly to you in Discord of basically what I would want drafted and delivered with the group that's going to be sent to the cap. Something to that effect. Lord can put his own spin on it, but I think after the conversation, he's going to understand that that's probably exactly what.
Let's see. Gotcha. So when you get to the teleportation room, you are greeted by, like I said, a middle-aged woman and a middle-aged man. And the middle-aged woman says, she walks by and she says, I am Minara, Shaymore Castle Wizard. This is my apprentice, Keoben. She says, I am to send these people and you to the capital via this teleportation circle. You do realize that where you are being sent is directly to a place in the capital where we send treasoneers.
I would ask the rest of the group. I don't think we're making great.
You are breaking up something fierce.
I would say my request to be sent to the capital probably isn't as pertinent as I believe, because the king's already aware what's going on. He just needs something sent forward. Originally, I thought it was much more dire than it is. I thought these guys might actually be part of the opposing force.
Ah,
Same.
Can I roll an insight check against the conversations that we had to see if I'm perceiving any lies or threats or anything?
of course. I was wondering if anybody was going to want to roll anything today.
Yoo-hoo!
A 10. These guys are simpletons. A 10 is enough. They're just regular folks. They're regular folks with a grudge against where they used to live.
So my type up of what I thought was going on is fairly accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. The king relays the Lord, Lord Jin, relays a message that is quite similar, only with his own flair to it. Basically, in his own words, he's saying the same thing. And he also sends a message of caution that he thinks that that whoever it is going against the Moors. And in front of all of you, puts into the letter, family ties aside, if they are going against the Moors, then Crestmore needs a wall. Quickest way to a wall is a keep. Quickest way to a keep is lordship. If the Moors are going to war, then the Moors need to be protected. He throws that in and he says, and this is of my own decree, not the opinion of your band of advisors. Not decree, but my own opinion. He obviously can't make a decree to the king. But yeah, he says, this is of my own thought and has, nothing to do with any influence. And that message is sent off. And then these guys are sent off. In shackles, but, And then she looks at y'all and says, am I to teleport you as well?
I don't believe.
Is that everybody, or is he speaking for the whole group?
I don't
Yeah,
believe.
we're not going.
No.
Okay.
We still need to do a bit of traveling in this area before we make our way back to the capital. So I don't believe we are using the teleportation circle one way or the other, right?
Okay. So, at this point, you're basically taken out, like the king says pleasantries and goodbyes and stuff like that. Not the king, Lord Jin. Basically says, I don't know whether I am right or not as far as a direct assault on the Moors, But that doesn't matter whether I'm right or not. I have to move forward as if I am.
Understandable.
And he said, the Moors, I have to send a message to my brother and sister to, prepare for either infiltration or direct assault. And he thanks you, and he says that he hopes that himself and his brother and sister preparing for war does not bring it down upon them. But at this point, he feels he has no choice.
Hey, and I'd recommend that your brother make a few more of those skeletons for underneath his keep.
I don't condone my brother's hobby, but I won't lie. I have a few dozen volunteers buried in my own graveyards.
That's
I don't
understandable.
condone it, but when the people put it in their will or come to me specifically and ask, who am I to say no? It's their wish, then it's their wish. At any rate, I have work to do. I'm sorry, but I have to go.
Of course.
All right. Well, we'll probably rest here for the evening. Pay
Feel
the
free.
appropriate costs, and be on our way in the morning to Challam.
Feel free.
If there's any assistance we can provide for your preparations, we're here, and we'll be back through.
If I can think of anything, I will definitely send word. Tover is a bit rough, but the Angel's Respite is the most comfortable place in town.
I would ask the Lord.
Dev, you're
if
breaking up again.
I might.
You sound like a stuttering robot.
I'm gonna switch back to my phone.
Like
Why don't you
1092
just put
when he needs
headphones
to
on?
Yeah, like 1092 when he needs to reboot.
Or drunk, one of the two, but I don't think 1092 can drink.
You don't drink.
He can attempt.
You don't liquid.
Then how do I health potion?
That's magic.
Fine, then we just need to magically get 1092 drunk.
I'm sure there's a spell. Or I'll create arcane inebriation.
Ooh. Carlo, you need to learn one of those.
Motor oil. We feed 1092 with motor oil. And
Right.
I don't think it exists.
I don't like it.
But okay.
Motor oil gets him drunk. I don't know. Go to the gnomes. They might have it.
Ooh.
They might not.
That'd be a bad idea, but let's try it anyways.
Riccardo, do we have you back?
Yes. I jumped onto my phone. My computer for some reason has been really choppy. What I was saying is I would ask the Lord if I could speak with his court wizard before leaving.
Oh, of course. He says that she obviously doesn't reside in the teleportation circle, but she does have an office, and he tells you where it is. You are escorted by guards, but it's not as like outside where it was all like spears and swords. It's just this is a keep, and there are restricted areas.
Right, of course.
So you're taken to her office, which is actually not that far from the interior lobby. Obviously not the room you were in at the very beginning because that's cut off, but you're brought to her office. It's about the size of...
Okay, I need a few minutes. I'll be right back.
Yep. It's probably a 20 by 30 room. 20 wide, 30 long. Again, about a 10-foot ceiling. Half of it is library. The other half is sort of alchemy and experiments and enchanting areas and, just basically a place where a wizard might live. Or at least work, in this case.
And when I get there, would I see anything like summoning circles or anything like that?
No. Summoning circle is something that's usually put on the floor.
Right.
And no, there's none of that here.
Okay. But trying to think of a way of phrasing this. So part of my the backstory, looking for a way of asking her about a book in my possession.
A book that you already have?
Yes.
Are you trying to say this away from the group? Just between you and me?
Kind of. Here, I'll
Go up into DM whispers.
Well, now we're all alone. Carlos not only trying to get us killed broke, but now he's hiding secret. Okay, I guess I'm all alone.
Yep.
Oh.
Soup.
No one.
Wait a minute.
Because I'm.
Did Zyra fall asleep again?
Apparently, Zyra is not.
No.
Here. Oh, there's Zyra. Hi, Zyra.
Hey! Thought she fell asleep.
I did not fall asleep.
No, she's totally asleep. He is trying to hide secrets from us now.
Quick, go in the other room and figure out what he's saying.
No, no. Bad.
Clicker heroes, huh?
What? Who? Where? He's playing a game!
Ooh. Apparently people don't know that you can turn that off.
What?
You can turn the little display that says playing blank off.
Welcome back.
Thank
Hello.
you.
So that being done, you are escorted out of the place, and you are welcome to do as you will in town from here. What is the group doing?
I think we said that we were gonna try and get a room in town.
Yep.
To sleep
Yeah,
the
we're
night.
gonna stay in town and sleep.
So we'd be headed back to the inn that we or the
The
tavern.
Angel's
that we were-
Respite.
Yeah.
Yep.
See if we can get a room for us to bed down in for the night.
Yep. It'll be the Angel's Respite. It'll be a silver per
Okay.
Okay.
for a room upstairs, or for a bed upstairs, because there's like 12 rooms. Each room has 2 beds. In between each bed is a small table, and at the foot of each bed is a small chest for you to keep things that you don't want on or around you while you sleep.
Ben 92 doesn't need a room.
Right, but they'd rather you go somewhere other than sitting or standing. You know,
In the
you
hallway.
do rest, but you don't. Like, you have to stand idly and do nothing for a couple of hours. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
So you would basically be staring at his patrons.
I might need to go find a spot to do so.
So he would rather that you go to a room and either stare at a wall or one of your friends.
Who wants 1092 wants taking guard?
1092,
Creepy.
come bunk with me, buddy.
The wizard gets it.
All right. You guys pass a pleasant evening. These are comfortable beds. They are stuffed mattresses with down pillows. Blankets are comfortable. The reason that they call this place the Angel's Respite is because it is super comfy. And if you don't like soft beds, the other one is more stiff. That's why there are 2 beds in each room to accommodate your liking.
Giggity.
Right.
I knew that was coming. I don't know why, but part of me thought that was kind of it was.
The morning you are greeted with a complimentary breakfast, some sort of fruit juice and eggs and bacon and bread and all of that.
Sorry, Riccardo, no scotch.
No, I'd be looking for a vodka and orange juice. It's the morning.
Dude, we need to
The
talk.
bartender looks at you and says, "Vince, you're poison," and hands you what you're asked for.
Problems.
Growth concerned.
You can have one. There is a pitcher of juice for all of you to share. As far as the mixed drink goes, you can have one that goes with breakfast. If you want another one, you have to pay for it.
All right.
But there is a pitcher of juice for everyone to share. And the pitcher is pretty big. You can all probably have, 1.5 glasses, if not 2. They may feel jaunty enough to refill it for you without charging. But anyway, a fine breakfast, a fine meal, and then you have the day. What are you guys planning on doing?
I'm probably gonna have 1092 go practice a little bit with his musket. That's about it.
Okay, so asking
I don't know.
around, there's not a lot of people here who are well versed in firearms.
Oh, that meant him.
So if you
off on-
go to the barracks where they usually do bows and arrows, your first shot is going to freak a lot of people out.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's not a smart idea then.
At which point, if you do, yeah, obviously they're not going to arrest you. You're just going to have people all over you wondering what the hell you just did.
That's fine. 1092 probably doesn't care. He just wants to practice shooting it a little bit because to get used to it, since he's only fired it twice.
And as far as like the townspeople who you've scared the pants off of, the town guard is taking care of it.
Sorry.
Basically, they're saying the construct has a secret weapon it wants to test.
Oh God, that doesn't sound good.
And
Oh God.
That would scare me even further.
What they say is that it'll only harm you if you stand in front of him while he's holding it.
That still would make me scared.
And well, yeah, you don't have a lot of people standing in front of you when you leave. As a matter of fact, people do what they can to stand out of your way. But as far as the guards are concerned, they have no problem with you firing a rifle. It's not like they haven't heard of them. It's just they don't
I'm back.
have.
Hello.
So you can take an hour or so if you want, and reacclimate yourself to your firearm. Do you have proficiency in it?
I think you made me not have proficiency just yet, but I don't have disadvantage in it. I think we said that I had to use it a little bit.
After an hour of shot after shot after shot practicing, and even crossbowmen.
Oh shit! That's not what I meant to do. I was meant to pull up the.
And he shoots somebody.
God, that's not what I meant to do.
Well, no, he missed the target. But the idea is you are helped by people who see what the weapon is doing. I.e., when you fire it, it rides up a little from the kickback, and telling you that you have to bring it back down to aim again before pulling the trigger again. As a matter of fact,
well, I have to reload it before firing again.
Right, but when you reload it and then you so that it doesn't kick again, or you hold it up pointing towards the air, and they're like, no, back down. It's gonna do it again, no matter where you point it. And they basically help you out, and you're able to gain the advantage that you become proficient with the weapon.
Yay!
After some practice, and even after a while, the sound of the musket stops jumping people in town.
I'm sorry,
because you're there doing it for a good hour, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's just that stupid construct," and you acclimate yourself to the weapon.
Yay!
To the point where you're able to use it pretty well. Does anybody else want to do anything during the hour that
I'm making a ruckus.
I would like to go to the church and pray to Paylor because I need to do that.
Yep. There is definitely a church to Paylor in a human town. As a matter of fact, it being a nice sunny day, there is a lot of praise to Paylor going on. And for the first couple of minutes of that noisy hour, there's a couple of praise to Paylor to save them from whatever it is that's coming down upon them from the heavens.
I'm
so sorry.
I subtracted 5 gold from my inventory as a
Apology.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
You being a cleric of Paylor, again, you're welcome here anytime. It's a place for you to stay instead of an inn, should you choose when you're here. All the things that you're supposed to get.
Yep.
Blessings on you and your family, blardy blardy blar. May Paylor be with you, blardy blardy blar.
Right. And
You hear some people calling him the Dawn Father, which you're used to.
Yep, that's part of his thing. Also, after I'm done praying, I would like to go to the source of the loud noise.
Yeah, that would be the barracks out behind the barracks near the keep, where the construct is practicing with his firearm. Like I say, after a while, instead of being afraid of it, the soldiers are trying to help it. A few of them are asking if they can have a shot. But that's up to you.
Part of me, yeah, screw it. 1092 would be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, basically, a bunch of people are now playing with your gun.
Everybody's
Giggity.
Cool.
Of course, they give it back.
People are probably like,
I'm
this is cool.
I'm gonna keep the heals on deck just in case.
Right. You don't have to. I mean,
Hey, Cleric, do you want to try?
Absolutely.
Oh boy.
Oh dear God, he is not proficient. He has no idea how to use this.
This is going to be a ranged attack with disadvantage.
Oh no.
Beautiful.
Would it be would it be like not disadvantaged since I'd be kind of helping him after this hour? It'd be like, nope.
Because he himself is the one handling the gun.
Oh dear God. Okay.
You can't
just a normal roll, right?
It's a normal It's a D20 plus your dexterity modifier.
Oh dear God.
You
say yes
roll and take the lower number. Holy shit!
Wow. Wow.
He doesn't fail.
Hang on. You didn't roll.
I don't think I got.
No, you didn't roll a D20. You rolled a 20 plus 1.
Yeah, you didn't roll a D20.
Sorry,
I was gonna say, what the hell? He just got 2 nat 20s.
Use your rolly thing, your button rolly thing.
Your rolly thing.
There.
That's better.
That sounds better.
Not really, but
Cleric on his ass.
But roll it again.
Much better.
no, no.
Oh no.
Your gun jammed.
1.
Oh, they just jammed.
Crap.
You rolled a 1.
Uh,
Your
I
gun jammed.
click the button and it doesn't work, and I go.
don't.
Contraction confounds me.
You hear a click. You hear a clack. You hear a fnork.
That is a
you know
weird
that your
gun.
Now needs to be repaired.
I look at it and I just
Don't.
sort of. I try to heal it with.
Just takes the rifle away from him.
You
before
try to
he-
heal it.
You
Nothing
just
happens.
try to heal the gun.
Wait, doesn't he have fix on? Doesn't he have mend
I have
object?
mending, yeah.
Mending won't help here.
I just take the rifle.
I'm
away
just
from
like
him.
poking it with mending, but it's not working, and I'm just like getting more frustrated about the fact that it's not working, and then he finally takes the gun.
Oh God.
Fix this now.
I'm going to say you have plenty of time on the trip to fix it.
I don't understand. Why doesn't it work?
I was afraid he was going to get a nat 20 and was going to break the target, or he was going to fail critically and break the gun, which, well, one of them was true.
So during the hour that these two are doing this shenanigan, is anybody else doing anything?
I'm just watching and laughing my ass off.
Okay.
Oh yeah, like you could shoot it any better.
Well,
I
I
would've,
proved you wrong, but you broke it.
I didn't break it, he broke it.
I'd also be watching and laughing, but I'm sitting under a nearby tree reading.
Right.
Of course you are.
I would head to anywhere in this vicinity that has some type of a library or bookstore.
Oh yeah, definitely has libraries and bookstores, both.
Riccardo has a library.
I'm looking for a book of rare species of animals that exist in the world around us.
Ooh, good idea. I was just gonna suggest a random animal once we got there, but that's actually a really good idea to come up with the. Okay, yeah.
That'll be a 5 copper book.
That's it?
Yeah.
Are there any other books, maybe of like animals that are anything about extinction or endangered species kind of books? Or is a book about rare animals about the closest I'm going to get?
There are well, let me do something here.
And I would be consulting with the owner of the store.
Yep. The owner of the store at first is kind of like, blah, 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 blah. Obviously hiding something because he's talking to a sellsword, a dwarf. And then as you talk to him, like your intelligence comes through, like that you're not, you're a random soldier idiot or you're a random sellsword idiot. Which is why he, gave you a, somewhat poor 5 copper book.
Yep.
And
I
then,
basically am explaining it's a gift and it's very important that it be of the highest quality and like best information.
he starts to warm up to you without you needing to make a roll for it. And he pulls out a book. It's a leather-bound book. And written on the cover is sort of calligraphy.
Polo's Guide to Monsters.
And no, but it's talking about not monsters, but creatures, animals. And it's talking about basically that, like, kind of a where are they now? Like, in this area of the world, chimpanzees were in abundance. Now they're hard to find. But they're thriving in this part of the world. And in this part of the world, there used to be, minke whales. And now you'll find them up north. Why are they moving, or why are they, kind of like, are they moving or are they dying off?
Right.
That sounds like I'm not there. I can't say anything.
All right. I think this is what I'm looking for.
That's a 5 silver book.
I give him 1 gold and thank him for it.
What's going
He
on?
thanks you for his generosity. Your generosity. Yes, he thanks you for his generosity. No. He thanks you for your generosity and he apologizes. for being, what's the word?
What is going on with my printer today?
You know, when you see something and judge them by their looks. Basically, he's apologizing for doing that. And says even he, as a bookseller, needs to learn more.
He judged a book by its cover.
He judged a book by its cover. And that sort of thing.
Aye, that's no big deal. Not often that a dwarf probably walks in looking like this, asking for a book of such finery.
He kind of looks at you and tries desperately not to be condescending, but he said it's not often dwarves come in here looking for books.
Aye, that'd be like you coming under the mountain, asking to drink from beer from my helmet and borrow my sword.
I don't think I'd do that. Why would I drink from a helmet?
Because a helmet holds more beer than a stein.
He looks at you and he says, "So you are a real dwarf."
Aye, pleased to meet you, sir. Thank you very much for your kind patronage
Come
and your
back
assistance
anytime.
in this matter. And I exit.
Page left.
So then we are all meeting up now, yes?
Are we on our way to Chalum?
I think
believe
that's
so,
the
yes.
plan.
Okay.
Probably should call it for the night though, because it's.
I was just about to say that it's 10 p.m. after 10, and we can do Chalum next week, and yeah, and find out what's going on in Chalum while the leaders of the Moors prepare for war. And yeah, that little triangle right there is from Wallermore to the coast of Crestmore down to Shaymore and back up again is a little triangle that they like to call the Moors.
Makes sense.
Other people do as well, like they even call the land in between it the Moors. Just because, even though it's not owned by them, it's still near them. So, just a little map information is that whole area is and find out what's going on.
Sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Good
All
night,
right.
everyone.
Good
Good night, everybody.
Hey guys,
DM, before you
thanks
leave, I do have a
for
question.
watching.
Roger, what's up?
It's more of
All right,
similar
let
like
me close
backstory kind of
this.
question.
Sorry guys. All right, thank you for watching, guys. Remember to subscribe and like my video and my channel. Have a good night.